The Titans, home favorite, 3.5 points, 47 is the over-under. Listen, everybody wants to see the other game, the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Bills. They want that to be the AFC Championship, which I think means we should reseed at this round. Now, not reseed, because I know they actually do reseed, but I think give out new seeds is what I think they should do so that we can have a Kansas City Buffalo. I kid, half kidding, but I am actually the least sure about this game. I think probably because I've been burned many times by these two teams against shit squads. Like I had Tennessee against the Jets and the Texans. I had Cincinnati against the Jets. Maybe it means the Jets should be in the playoffs. I don't know. But I do feel like it's a foregone conclusion that Derrick Henry is going to pick right up where he left off and end up with like 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm not sure about that. The backups haven't been bad. Foreman's been pretty good. I think he had 300-yard games. The Titans defense has been good. They allowed 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago against the Texans, but before that, they hadn't done that in 7 weeks. Cincinnati, of course, got some swagger. Burrow's numbers not spectacular, Bri, against your Raiders last week. 244 and 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 51 times. That's what I worry about the most with him, right? Getting sacked. I don't think he's going to shit the bed necessarily. I don't see him coming away with 3 interceptions, but they could pressure him. Harold Landry has 12 sacks. Danico Autry has 9. They've kind of kept it at bay. He's had averaged 3 sacks over the last 4, which is great for him. Like I said, 51 on the year. I'm at a loss. I really am with this game. So I'm buying the 0.5 point and I'm taking it to 4 and taking Cincinnati, who's 5-0 against the spread in their last 6. I think this is a low scoring, cold, weird game. Where's the offense? 22-20 final. I think most of you guys agree with me. Parlay Kid, you taking the points as well?
I'm going to take the points here, Sal. I think we're missing the boat here if we're kind of like overlooking this game. I think this is a super intriguing game. I'm actually really looking forward to this one almost as much as any of the other games this weekend. I think this is a good matchup. Because the Titans maybe aren't your typical 1 seed. At least they don't appear to be. On paper, it's hard. Sometimes you forget that they're the 1 seed, but and the Bengals are playing good, exciting offensive football right now. So I'm going to take Cincinnati here, Sal, and the points. Cincinnati and their 7 losses this year, and you can't count the last one to Cleveland where they didn't play any of their players. So let's just say they had 6 losses on the year. 4 of their losses were by 3 points or less. So this is a team that rarely gets blown out. I mean, only twice did they lose by more than 3 points. So they're a good team. They're really riding high right now. Burrow's confidence is through the roof. Chase has really rebounded since a lull towards the end of the season. And they have a very good triplets here in terms of their receiving core and a tight end that is really factoring into the game. Mixon's running the ball well. I'm not predicting a win here, but I'm predicting a cover here by Cincinnati with a possible win. But this is going to be a good, tight game, like you just said. Maybe even on the low scoring side. So let's take the 3.5 here, Sal.
Yeah, maybe I'm being harsh with this game. I'm sure it's going to be good. It's a good match. Both teams. I don't know. I just have a problem with the Titans, I think, because of the whole Clay Travis thing. He's a terrible person. And they had 5 losses. I think as a 1 seed, you don't see too many conference representatives with 5 losses as a 1 seed. And, they took care of business against Jacksonville and the Texans. But that said, the winner of this game will have a very, very good shot at going to the Super Bowl, I think, right? Yeah, I mean, no one's going to be a 7-point underdog for sure. We should note in the past 3 NFL postseasons, teams that have won their playoff game are 27-3 against the spread. So if you're thinking of taking the Titans, Brother Bry, don't worry about the spread is what this is saying. 27-3 against the number for winning teams, Bry. And you are now, you may have switched at the last minute just to be different, but you said you were on the fence.
Yeah, I was on the fence, my biggest thing right now is everybody loves the Bengals, right? And rightfully so. It's Joe Burrow. He's really fun to root for, and we've all been watching him since college. But, that being said, I don't know if I'm willing to back Zach Taylor here yet over Vrabel. It's weird to think you could be a 1 seed and still play like the nobody believes in us card, but Vrabel Vrabel definitely can for his squad. Tennessee's been great at home. They were 7-1 at home in their last 8. They went 6-3 at home against the spread. This team has playoff experience. And one of the things you said, Sal, Burrow getting sacked, Tennessee was one of the better teams at getting pressure. And we saw that early, a couple months ago, really, when, they had some big games against the Chiefs. You saw them put a lot of pressure on certain teams. But, in that second half of the Raiders game, the Raiders D started getting through there. They started getting some pressure. That's where I'd be a little bit worried if I was a Bengals fan. And, and they are very good against the run, the Titans. So, Bengals are going to have to throw. So if they're starting to get a lot of pressure on Burrow, I could see Tennessee. I think this is going to be like a 27-20 type of game. I think it's close to what you had, Sal, but covering the 3.5.
All right, Harry, as the 1 seed, the Titans, are they going to be favored next week if they win over either of the teams? I guess they.
No.
Man, I don't know. I guess not, right?
No.
It'll be a point or two. It can't be. I would be surprised. You think the Bills would give them a full
if somehow Kansas City erupts and blows out the Bills, they could be 2.5, 3 against Tennessee.
Yeah, but or if the Bills just blow them out. Yeah, the same kind of thing. All right, but either way, you're taking Bengals plus 3.5 here.
Bengals plus 3.5. I'm a Parlay Kid here. I'm pumped up for this game. Burrow's got a plethora of offensive weapons. But Sal, you're right. It comes down to the Cincinnati offensive line. I think if they can give Burrow just enough time, he will find these guys. He will get it done. He will score touchdowns. Of course, Henry's coming back, but we really don't know. I mentioned this earlier in the week. We really don't know how much time he's really going to play. They say he's healthy, but I don't know how many carries he can do in terms of this situation here. I'm taking the Bengals here. I'm riding with Burrow again, and Zach Taylor. I like this team.
Yeah, Henry, he has been practicing for 2 weeks, so it is interesting. But I want to see when guys are actually tackling him, what it looks like. All right, we usually do one prop for these playoff games or whatever, a Thursday night or our big games at night, Monday night. I got together with the fellas. I say, no, it's better than one prop. 2 props each. Let's hit them with 2 props each. We can do it real fast. Parlay Kid, start us off in this game. We like a lot of stuff. What are you looking at?
Yeah, let's. I think Brother Bry had the tight end from Cincinnati, Uzoma.
Yeah.
Last weekend for over. He's gone up a little bit. He's 31.5 yards. He averages about just right around this number. But he's gone over this number 3 out of his last 4 games. To me, he really actually could be targeted more. He's a big target. He runs well, has good hands, makes clutch catches. He actually can get these down the field too. Sometimes his catches aren't a lot of times of the 5-yard variety, but kind of down the seam type of passes here from that tight end position. This could take 1 or 2 catches here, and he'll go over. So let's take Uzoma over 31.5 yards for the Bengals tight end.
When he had Brother Bright did have his prop is over yards, but when he scored the first touchdown last week against the Raiders, I said, "Oh shit, we're going to lose every single one of these." I knew right away. I was like, "We're going to lose all 6 games," and we did it. We did it, guys. But still up a substantial amount. I hope no one just started to jump on board with us this past weekend. All right, Parlay Kid, you have another one. You like Tannehill?
Oh, I'm going to go back to back. Yeah. Well, so disclaimer: not all the props are up right now, right? So.
Right.
We're kind of not fully limited. But I like this prop anyway. I'm an over touchdown passes guy. I'm actually have hit my last couple. Hit on Mahomes over 2.5 at plus 154 this past weekend. That was over by midway through the second quarter, and I told you that's why you can't pass these up. Tannehill has thrown for 6 touchdown passes in his last 2 games. We're getting a plus number for him to go over 1.5. What's the correlation with these 6 touchdowns in the last 2 games? Brown has been back. Brown is back. He makes it makes a huge difference in this offense. Makes Jones better. Makes the other receivers better. Brown is a true number 1. Tannehill, a lot of times, especially around the goal line, little faked it to Henry. Defense bites. Gets like a 1-yard touchdown pass often. That could be one of them. So let's take the plus over 1.5 at plus 108. For Tannehill.
I mean, it's basically if everyone is healthy, as they say, it's an embarrassment of riches for Vrabel. I don't think he'll know. Like have these guys all played together? Probably 1 or 2 games. Julio Jones is supposed to come back too, right? And Brown and of course Derrick Henry. So I don't know if he'll be able to figure it out. Harry, you have a Tannehill prop as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go over Tannehill, 15.5 rushing yards at -122, average 5 yards a carry this season. Had 7 rushing touchdowns, so he's always a threat to take off. For his last 6 games, he's gone over 15 yards. Last 2 games versus Cincy he's played, he's gone over 15, which includes last season's game versus the Bengals. And the Bengals did allow 20 yards rushing last week to Derek Carr, so give me Tannehill to go over 15.5. If he's in trouble, he'll scramble.
I have to say the quarterback rushing prop, and I like it too, whether it's the longest rush or total rushing yards, it goes from, maybe you could say this about everyone, but when it hits, when it wins, you're like, aha, look at that.
It's so true.
That was like easy.
It's so true.
And then if it doesn't hit, it's like, how is this not? Why is he running once? He didn't run at all. What's going on? It's like, it's so polarizing, right? This prop.
Yes.
So
Murray had 6 yards on Monday like that.
Right. That's
two carries. And his first carry was, or whatever it was, his first carry was -2 yards. That was great. But I knew that because I had the overlap. I was like, I was like, this is a loser.
But doesn't it go along with everything we say? If we bet under in these props for a season long thing, we're going to win, right? So why wouldn't game by game we take under? I don't know. I know it's just more fun. It just looks easy when it's 18 yards or 15 yards or something like that. Just so much easier than 539 yards for whatever the season. All right, Harry, what's your other prop?
Well, I'm going to take Joe Burrow again. Last week I had him over 37. I do love this. Bombs away, baby. I had over 37.5 longest pass completion last week. And this week it's 38.5 at -114. Again, I lost this prop last week, but they're going up against like I said, the 25th ranked pass defense in the league. I don't know who it's going to be. Is it going to be Chase? Is it going to be Higgins or Boyd? I don't know who it's going to be, but Burrow went for 29 and 28. Those were his 2 longest passes last week against the Raiders. Maybe he just kept it under control as long as they had the lead in the game last week. Maybe in a game like this against Tennessee, they surprise. Burrow goes deep over 38.5.
Wow. Harry didn't say bombs away. Shit.
He did.
I just said bombs away.
You did?
He got bombs away in there.
It's like it wasn't a lot of energy
Harry,
there.
say it again.
I was expecting a bigger bump.
It was
Never
more
has-
nonchalant. Yeah.
It was
Never has a catchphrase fizzled out so quickly as bombs away. I mean, it kind of came and went.
Listen,
Nobody. That's. I don't know.
It fizzled out as he was saying
I
it.
had some spicy chili. Darren, I had some spicy chili last night. Believe me, in bed it was bombs away.
Oh, come on. Harry. Come on. We're trying to get people to don't compete with your brother. He's the more disgusting one in your family. You're not going to win that title from him. I have a Burrow prop too. I'm going over 278.5. It is tough to pinpoint what kind of game he's going to have because Mixon could have a big game, right? And then the Burrow doesn't have to. And I'm calling for a low scoring game anyway. I think he gets some garbage time yards here. I think they're going to have to come from behind. They'll be down like, what do I have, 22-20? I think they'll be behind like 19-6, 19-7. He's going to be throwing for most of the second half. He has 300 plus in 4 of his last 5 before last week. Like I said, lots of catch-up is what I think. Not the catch-up Harry's addicted to. The catch-up ball. His rush defense is very good, we said, for Tennessee, but their opponents' passes per game, 29th in the league. Everyone passes on Titans or tries to. Their opponent's quarterback averages 37 passes a game. So if you do the math on that, that is asking Burrow to go for less than 8 yards per pass. So I'm going over 278.5. I know I did a lot of cockeyed math there, but either way. All right. Bri, you have some player props. You're going Bengals. You got Mixon under rushing.
Yeah. I'm going Mixon under 61.5, and I actually love this prop. This is probably one of my favorite props for the weekend. But for the Bengals to win this game, I do think Burrow's going to have to throw a lot. I expect him to throw a lot. But Tennessee only gave up 85 yards rushing per game this season. Mixon has only gone over this number of 61.5 once in his last 6 games. He's only averaging 3.25 yards per carry over those 6 games. So give me under. I don't see him having a big game this week.
All right. And you have Chase over, which is a popular one. And I picked it under last week and I got burned, but not by a lot, I don't think.
Yeah. So like Harry was saying, I mean, for as good as Tennessee is against the run, and then also again they do get some good pressure on the quarterbacks, but they are bad against the pass. They gave up the second most yards to wide receivers this season, and the thing is, Burrow's so comfortable with Chase, he's going to look his way even more than normal in these playoff games. In Chase's last 4 games, he has 116 yards or more in 3 of those last 4 games. So at times, even last week, it just seemed, even though Chase may have been pushing off a little bit a few times, he seemed almost impossible to stop him on some of those, little curl routes or whatever he was doing. So I think over 77.5.
All right. I am going to go. I had another one there. These are dumb when you're paying this much vig, and I don't know who's going to win the kickoff, but I like the Titans to score first at -130. They've done it in 4 of the last 5 games. I get it. It's stupid, but the -130, it's just how I see it. I see it in my head. I see them getting out to a big lead. It's the first home team. It's the first wild card game. Like, oh yeah, we haven't seen them in a while. They're going to lay it on thick, which leads me to my first touchdown scorer, and it is Ferkser. What's his name? Freddie Ferkser? I don't know his first name. Anthony Ferkser. I'm going 19-1 odds. 2 years ago in the playoff touchdowns versus Chiefs and the Patriots, he had touchdowns against both teams. He scored in the last 2 games. He had a first touchdown against the Texans in the last regular season games. Couldn't you see it? Right? They throw Tannehill throws. We're also, 80 something. It's a white guy spiking the ball in the rain. It's cold. It's Ferkser. Why didn't we have Ferkser? Well, now we do. 19-1 odds. First touchdown. Harry, who's your first touchdown going to?
I'm going to take Bengals Joe Mixon at 7-1. It's been a touchdown machine this year. 13 on the ground, 3 through the air. Always a threat. Had 21 touches last week. Didn't have a big game against the Raiders, so I expect more out of him this week. So why not? We'll take a guy at 7-1 who's got 16 touchdowns this season.
All right, there you go, Brother Bry. First touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tannehill at 15-1. I think I used him. I don't know when the Tennessee last played that we had this, but I might have taken him that time too. But he does
San Fran game, Bry?
I don't know.
Harry.
Was it that long ago?
It probably was. That was a Thursday night game.
I guess so. Yeah, you're probably right. But he does have 7 rushing touchdowns on him the season. And the thing is with Tannehill, it's like you used to see him get more touchdown runs, like by as off a bootleg. But this year, it's funny. He's gotten a lot of like sneaks, from the half-yard line, even when Henry was playing earlier in the season. So you're getting a guy 11th on the board with 7 rushing touchdowns at 15-1. I like that.
All right, Parlay Kid. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm looking at like what Brian's saying there. I got Tyler Boyd at 15-1. Boyd has scored in 4 straight games for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And he's had 5+ targets in 6 straight games. He's obviously he's second or third fiddle here as in their receiving trio, but he still gets his touches and he gets the ball. And at 15-1 for a guy who scored in 4 straight games, I think that those odds are fantastic. Riding with Tyler Boyd here.
All right, we're taking some mid-range guys here. Watch it. It'll be Chase or it'll be Henry, and we're like, oh, son of a bitch. What have we done? Kansas City home and Arrowhead, a slight favorite. Wow, the disrespect for the former Super Bowl champs, 2 years removed. AFC champions, 1 year removed. 54.5 is the over-under. Josh Allen is coming to town. Here comes the Bills' money. It was 2.5. It's 1.5. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm leaning more towards the over, but I'm going to take the Chiefs until they give me a reason not to. I get it. There's not much to dislike about that Bills team we saw last Saturday, but maybe it was a little more emotional beatdown because it was the Patriots. Let's beat the shit out of Belichick and run up the score while we can. Who knows if we'll get the chance again. You can't let last week weigh too heavily. The defenses did a nice job, both of them versus Mac Jones and Big Ben. The talent level at quarterback for the opposition is going to rise considerably. I get that the Bills owe Kansas City from the AFC Championship last season, 38-24 in Arrowhead. I like a lot of points. It's only going to be 26 degrees if I read that wrong. When I say only, it's not going to be too cold for a night game in January. Totals hit. The overs hit in 5 of Buffalo's last 7 away games, over in each of Kansas City's last 6 games. Mahomes, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions in a divisional round game. I think Chris Jones typically gives Josh Allen a problem. Frank Clark had a couple sacks against him last time they played. And Jerick McKinnon has been the key here. He scored in the last 2 games. He's added another dimension at running back for the Chiefs, at almost 200 combined over the last 2. I worry he gets hurt. He's a light guy. He gets hit close to out of bounds. He goes flying like 17 yards. But betting-wise, Chiefs are in a nice spot. It's from the Action Network. When he's a 3-point favorite or shorter, Mahomes 14-4-1. That's 78% against the spread. I think McKinnon allows them to kill clock as a problem the Chiefs have had in the past. They are going to hang on 38-34. Lots of points in this game. I'm taking the Chiefs. Parlay Kid, you with me?
I'm with you here, Sal. I think this line -1.5 for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 10-1 in their last 11 games. So their average score of victory is 15 plus points in those 10 wins. They've been blowing teams out over the better part of the second half of the season here. They found their mojo. And I think actually what they showed against Pittsburgh is really, they're all kind of coming together now at once. McKinnon has added an element in their backfield. Hill, Kelsey kind of got going last week. Hardman has been more of a factor lately after really doing nothing most of the year. Pringle has been much more of a factor over the last quarter of the season. They have a lot of weapons right now going for that team. So, like you say, until somebody shows me that they can beat the Chiefs, especially them basically they have to win here, the Chiefs, and we're winning this bet. -1.5. I think it's just right now, my heart, I'd love to see the Bills win, but my head says I got to go with the Chiefs, Sal.
All right. I asked Damashek and Martin Weiss yesterday about the next 5 Super Bowl winners, including this year's, and Damashek is still trying to figure out the question. He really missed the point of the assignment, but I think we have 2 of them, 2 of the 5 at least Super Bowl winners covered in this game. I think. I don't know. I might add the Bengals in there. I think the AFC goes on a little run. I like the Packers to win it this year. And then I think we see the AFC go on a little run with Cincinnati, Kansas City, and maybe Buffalo gets 2. That's what I would say. Harry, you are taking the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills because I think this line opened up at 2.5, down to 1.5. No respect, like you said, for Kansas City, but Vegas is begging for you to take the Chiefs. I think the Bills here are the better team right now. For most of the middle of the season till like the last 4 weeks, the Bills had a slide. Why? Because of the running game. They didn't have a running game. All of a sudden now, the key cog to this team has been Devin Singletary. He had 80 yards last week. He had 2 touchdowns. He scored like 5 touchdowns over the last 4 games for the Bills. And the Bills also first in points against, first in yards against, and defensively. They have probably the best 2 safeties in the league in Hyde and Poyer. They did beat Kansas City and beat them pretty hard by 18 in Arrowhead this season already. I'm taking the Bills. I think they roll. Josh Allen continues to do the job that he's been doing. Bills win this game by 7 points.
Whoa. All right. It's a nice upset. I mean, even though it's not totally an upset, but yeah, the 7 points would be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to look at those adjusted lines.
Yeah.
I wonder what it's pretty decent if you like that.
Bri, I know Harry's rooting for the Bengals in the AFC. Who do we root for? It has to be from this game, right? Should we root for the Bills?
Well, the thing is,
even though we're picking the Chiefs here.
I'm picking the Chiefs too. I know, but it's God, I hate. Yeah, I've always hated the Chiefs as a Raider fan. You always hate the Chiefs, so I can't root for them. But if they're gonna make me money, fine. But I would say Bills would be the team. If you weren't betting these games, Bills would be the team to root for.
Right. All right, but you like the Chiefs. You're not even screwing with the point.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs -126. It might not even be smart. I don't know. Versus what is it? -1.5 is -112. So paying 14 cents on that. But I told you the other day I like Buffalo, but I'm flip flopping all over the place. Everybody seems to be on the Bills, especially outside of this pod. But it was an ideal environment for the Bills in that game. Playing in those temperatures at home with those crazy fans against the Pats, just wanting to beat them up. I do like the fact that the Bills beat up the Chiefs this season, because that was when the Chiefs were at their low point there. Mahomes, especially, Mahomes the last couple of weeks seems back to normal. He's making crazy plays here. And Sal, our boy Trev, told us to bet the mortgage on this game. So, and I did tell him the last time he told me this, I lost like $9,000 on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yes,
But before that, I think he had a solid run with the Chiefs.
I was going to say the times he's told us, I have a good feeling about them. He's probably
better
about
than
75%.
Yeah, I would say it's better than not. But I guess maybe that's just the case with the Chiefs anyway. The amount of times they win this. But yeah, the fact that you're getting the Chiefs. I mean, when again are you going to get the Chiefs at home as a pick'em? Basically in this type of game. No. So I would take them just to win outright.
That's why it's a loser. That's why it's a loser.
You could say it's fishy. It's gonna be.
Harry said that about the last Chiefs opponent too, and he got buried. The Steelers, right? Just because it didn't look right.
The line was phony. I just had faith in the Steelers. That's all.
Oh my God, that's even worse. You should have stuck with the line being phony. All right, let's go over some props. Parlay Kid, you're all over Mahomes here.
I'm over Mahomes, Sal, here. So Mahomes rushing yards over 19.5. He averages 22.5 yards rushing per game. In his last 5, 20, 32, 25, 54, and 29 all would have went over this 19.5. I don't see anything different here. He always makes a few plays a game with his legs. Even though I don't really like the way he runs when he starts to scramble. And sometimes I don't even think he needs to, but he sure does a good job of his receivers, all on the left side of the field. He takes off to the right or vice versa, has like a 15-yard run. This bet's almost in the money. And like I said, 5 in a row here over this 19.5 anyway. And I like Mahomes passing yards over 281.5 yards. Again, he averages this for the season. He's about 284.5 yards. I think we are just starting to see the best of Patrick Mahomes right now as we enter the playoffs. He's got all of his weapons that seem to be healthy. Hill looks like he's finally healthy. Kelsey looks fully healthy. Add McKinnon out of the backfield, like we just said. Pringle, Hardman, even Robinson chipping in here or there. This is going to be a shootout, I think. It's going to be a shootout. So over 281.5 yards.
All right. Harry, you like some anytime touchdowns. I like a couple too. Go ahead. What do you like?
Yeah, for the Bill, I got one for each team. For the Bills, I'm taking Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown at plus 115. Kansas City's pass defense, 27th in the league. Diggs was kind of quiet last week versus New England, where he just had 60 yards, but he has scored in 6 of his last 9 games. So I like him to score against that somewhat weak pass defense of the Chiefs. And I'm also going to take a touchdown anytime by, you guys mentioned McKinnon at minus 110 for the Chiefs. He looks like he's the best running back that they've had all season, really. He's he can do both catch, he can rush. He had a receiving touchdown last week. Sorry, he had he averaged 5 yards a carry last week too. He scored in 2 straight games for the Chiefs. So McKinnon at minus 110, anytime touchdown, and Diggs for the Bills at plus 115.
All right, I have an anytime touchdown, and I'm not going to overthink it. Kelsey, I had him score last week. He scored. I think they'll score 4 or 5 or 6 times. He has 7 playoff games with 100+ yards, 1 behind Jerry Rice. That doesn't do anything for a touchdown, but he's so reliable. He scored in 6 of the last 8 playoff games for the Chiefs. He scored versus the Bills in the regular season, 2 versus the Bills in the playoffs last year in the AFC Conference Championship. I just think there are some guys you got to go. These numbers are a little bit low, right? Like if I'm going to come back tomorrow with Adams to score a touchdown and Kupp to score a touchdown, if you take those 2 and Kelsey, I think you win 2 out of 3. I really do. I think those shouldn't be minus 130, right, Bri?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think the one thing is when you look at Kelsey, because I was looking at this too, and I think the Bills were number 1, or giving up the lowest yards or touchdowns to tight ends this season. So I guess that's why, but still, in this type of
scored twice against them last year. Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right, you have speaking of tight ends, Dawson Knox, one of our favorites.
Yeah, I'm taking Dawson Knox over 36.5 yards. He's had a great season for the Bills. He actually has 11 touchdowns, including the playoffs last week. He has 11 touchdowns on the season. He had 89 yards last week, 49 yards the week before. Allen really seems to trust him. I thought I thought Beasley would do something last week, but Beasley's become like the fourth or fifth guy here for them offensively. In that first game between the Chiefs and the Bills, he had 117 yards receiving on 3 catches, a couple big plays for him. He's trending up here, so I would go over the 36.5 yards.
It is weird how the Beasley's a guy. I mean, in a game where they could have scored 1,000 points, but scored 950 instead, you would have thought everybody would have lit it up, right? But McKenzie ends up having a bigger game, right, than Beasley.
Right.
They're really switching things out, right? You have here we go, quarterback over rushing yards.
Quarterback rushing. So it is weird. I'm taking the Chiefs, but I do have 2 Buffalo props here. But I'm going to go over. I think it just jumped to 47.5 here for Allen rushing yards. We talked about, QBs don't run enough recently, but Allen is the one consistent guy who makes big plays when he needs to, right? He's even willing to run over guys, dive over guys. He really puts his body on the line. It makes sense because he's a much bigger guy than somebody like Murray. But he started running a lot and had a lot of success starting in that second half of that Tampa game. That's really when he started making plays with his legs, even though he made them all year, but that's when he really started making plays. So now he's rushed for 63 or more in 4 straight. And in 5 of his last 6, the way he's been running all season, he's had one, he breaks a long run of 20 plus yards pretty much every game. So when that prop comes out too, I would look at longest rush. It's not out right yet, but I would definitely take him over the 47.5.
Yeah, I have one here. This is interesting. And I'm staring at it now because I don't want to read it wrong, but it just seems crazy to me. Now I have that both teams will score at least 25 points. You guys don't know the number. What do you think it is? What's the odds?
Probably minus 130.
Yeah, I was going to say minus 124 or something.
It's plus 176.
Oof.
And but if you go by the spread, total, it's 28-26 final they expect, right? Something in there. Obviously it's stupid, but what? Plus money? The Bills 25 or more 6 in a row. The Chiefs 25 or more 6 in a row. What am I missing here? That's on FanDuel. That's get it. Good.
Wow.
Let me look at it again. Both teams have scored 25 plus 176. Yeah.
Do they have other ones, Sal, too?
Just other numbers. Yeah, they have 30 and 35 and everything. And I could look.
Kansas City didn't get there in the first matchup, though.
Go under scoring. Shut up, Harry. I got a nice thing going here. So they have both to score 40 is 50-1, which, by the way, that's worth it too, I think. Both to score 35 is 1440-1, plus 1440. Both to score 30 is plus 370. Both to score 25 plus 176. Even if it's they get off to a slow start, which we saw the Chiefs did against the Steelers. I don't know. I think aren't they both in the 20s in the fourth quarter, for God's sakes?
Yeah, those are fun.
All right. Moving on to first touchdown. Let's get this right. Tyreek Hill. I'm going to give you Harry analysis. I'm going to tell you why all these bad stats and why you would think he wouldn't score first or at all. He's due. He's due is basically the bottom line. He has only 2 touchdowns in the last 8 weeks. He did score versus the Steelers last week. He has only 2 in the last 9 playoff games, but he has 23 red zone targets, which works out to about 23%, about 1 in 4. And then, everything outside the red zone is taken into account after that. That's how I see it. I think they make a statement early. I think Mahomes goes over the top, and I could see it in my head. He scores first. Big, long touchdown, kind of takes the air out of the Bills. 9 for 172 versus the Bills last year in the playoffs. I like Tyreek Hill at 7-1. Harry, which way are you going?
I'm going to go Bills, like I mentioned earlier. Devin Singletary at plus 750. He had 20 touches last week. The Bills running game has come back mostly because of him over the past month. Averaged 5 yards a carry last week. He scored twice. Both touchdowns in the second quarter against New England. Has scored in 5 straight games. 7 touchdowns total for him. He's had the first touchdown twice this season for the Bills. Devin Singletary, who's been really turning it on in the last month for the Bills and the Bills running game at plus 750.
All right, Parlay Kid, first touchdown.
Well, I have to take him. I have to take Knox, the tight end I have to do it because
How to do it.
I've hit
You're
twice.
late, man.
I hit
You're late.
twice with them. Well, look, I've hit twice with them.
Right.
We know we got at least a third time last week, and I was kicking myself. I felt terrible. Why didn't I take Knox? He does have 11 touchdowns on the year. And, I like to take the tight ends here anyway. So it made no sense I didn't pick him last week. So I have to come back with him this week. That's really, it's as simple as that. Because if it hits and I don't take him, I couldn't live with myself.
I got you.
I'm going with him at 13-1, Sal, for a guy who's done this multiple times.
That's a good.
That's
really
It's
good
still
odds.
good. His odds have not changed. They were the 13-1 last week. They're 13-1 again. Big target. Let's ride with Knox.
All right. Brian and I had Knox in our pool because you could pick multiple players in our just the 6 guys here and extra points do this pool. We're leading. What do we have? We had 11-1 or something last week.
Yeah.
You got 50 plus 55 for those. I had it in the extra points. What do you call it? Free to play game, which helped me win a half a gold hat. I had to split it with somebody, so that's good. I have 1.5 gold hats. Brian, I don't know why you're laughing. That's 1.5 more than you. But
Can I have the half?
you can have the half. I'll give you that one. All right. But Brian, you have a first touchdown. You flip flopped on this one, right?
I flip flopped. I was gonna go Mahomes. I went Mahomes last week, so I thought, oh well, maybe he'll come back again because he's 22-1. Again, I like those odds. I like the 22-1, but I'm changing it up. I'm going McKinnon. I just really like the way. And he's plus 750. I like the way the Chiefs used him. He seemed like he's the perfect do-it-all back for the Chiefs. I was wondering where the hell this back has been for the Chiefs. It almost seems like the last 2 years, right? I mean, I guess this is what they thought Edwards-Helaire would be. But these quick, shifty little backs who can catch balls out of the backfield. You said it earlier. He scored in the last 2 games. I think his role may keep going up. So I like him. I mean, you're not getting the best odds, but plus 750 is pretty good. I will say if you like the Bills big in this game, there are some good Bills first touchdowns between Knox, Davis, Sanders. Some of those guys all have good odds though too.
Yeah.